everyone. Welcome to an action-packed adventure in retro gaming with ARG Presents. I'm your boy, your good buddy, Amigo Aaron, joined by a man fresh off his lawn mowing duty. Give it up for the Brent.
Have you ever been to an actual golf course, Aaron?
I've played actual golf, I have to say.
No. I mean, like, not like a public course, a private course.
No, I don't know. Was Ogleby a private course? I've been there. No, then I've never been to one. No.
All right, the landscaping for those private courses, immaculate. Yeah. Like it's incredibly impressive what they can do. I mean, to terraform the land. I mean, for good or ill, depending on how you look at things. But the work those people put in for the results they get are incredible. They really is.
What a wacky thing to start the show with. The terraforming a golf course. This is an adventure in retro gaming.
Unsung heroes. The land crew for places, no one ever gives them any dap.
Well,
it's unfair. They deserve it. They work hard.
That's sweet of you to give those people their due. You know who's also works hard? A good friend of ours, the Macintosh librarian, Kate Fox. If you haven't caught her show, tremendous show. You know, to get a Mac show over with me, you've done something, my friend.
Or hate on it continuously.
Kate has done so, and she sent us this package right here. I'm going to go to full screen here if you're watching at home. Kate sent us this package here, and I want to open it up here and show its contents because I think this is awful nice of her. She sent a card to me, you, and Bode. It says, Bode, Aaron, and Brent, Merry Christmas. I hope you have a wonderful retro-filled holiday. Enjoy the figures. Kate Fox, a.k.a. the Macintosh librarian. Look at that. There's a picture of Mackie right there, Brent.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
So she sent us...
Thank you very much.
She sent us each... I love these. I thought this was awesome. She sent us each our own Mackie. And there he is. I've got wacky Mackies to beat the band here. These are so cute. This is a moneymaker, in my opinion. 3 little Mackies, Brent, one for each of us.
That's awesome.
This will have a place on my shelf for many days to come. Just in that cute little Mackie, you know.
Thank you very much.
I've watched.
I know exactly. I'm putting that at work. And everyone will ask me what in the world it is, and I'll be able to tell them.
You've got to give Kate credit, if not just because she's she knows exactly what she's talking about. Her shows, unlike say our show, is heavily thought out, scripted, with special effects that work, actual special effects by someone who knows what they're doing, and intelligence and history that are second to none. If you're a classic Mac fan, please check out the Macintosh Librarian. It's a tremendous show, and you can Google her or find her on YouTube and check her out. And she's also been a friend of our show for quite a while, and we appreciate it.
I bet she never ever records while muted.
What are you saying? What are you saying? What a jerk. Speaking of your jerkery, let's talk about last week's show. We spun the wheel and we made the deal. The bizarre deal, in this case. And Brent, the deal we made was to play something called the Amstrad MEGA PC. Now, I love stuff with mega in the title. That's because that means it's awesome, all right? But this is the MEGA PC, it comes to find out, is a PC that someone basically grafted a Sega on. Effectively. Yes. And that's what you've got there. And so that's what we're going to be playing. You know, had you ever heard of this thing? I'm guessing not, since you picked it without knowing what it was.
No, I'm pretty sure this was a suggestion that was supposed to be for Thanksgiving. Yeah. And it slid, since all that flammery took place, it slid right onto a wheel piece and got spun up. No idea what it was. Had no clue. Never heard of it before.
Super Tech Boy in chat writes, Alan Sugar in all his brilliance. I agree. And I will say, Alan Sugar is one of my faves. he looks sort of shifty, and he shifted his way into big money. And not to mention put out some good product. I mean, let's give the guy some credit. But he
this not among them.
And plus his name screams like shiftiness. I'm Alan Sugar, baby. You know, that's what it sounds like. It sounds like an old detective from like one of those old, radio dramas. So I looked at
Sugar, you're here. I was like, yes.
I looked into what the first thing I wondered about the Amstrad Mega PC is what kind of freaking controller do you use on this thing? Well, it turns out you use that bad boy if you're watching at home. If not, what it looks like is a cream colored Genesis or Megadrive controller with Mega PC stamped on it and a red start button. It's actually an interesting looking controller.
And Aaron, do you know why it looks like that?
I assumed so you can play Genesis games.
It's because that is exactly what it is. It's a rebranded Mega Drive
controller. I sort
of
assumed that, yeah. So I looked up a few things on the Mega PC, and we'll just go through it real quick. Cause there's not a whole lot to it. Of course, it is Amstrad, and they licensed. A lot of people don't know that Sega would license off the technology for the Genesis and the Mega Drive. They did this several times. This came out in '93, Brent. It got released in Europe and Australia. It was not a huge success. It was expensive as why. This came with the Microsoft 5.0 for Amstrad desktops, and the PC side of this shipped with a Intel 386SX at 25 megahertz, and it had a 1 meg memory and a 40 meg hard drive SVGA card. It took standard stuff, and I'll give Neil over at RMC, if you want to watch the nuts and bolts of the Amstrad Mega PC, he gets one of these things that's not working and gets in there and takes it apart and repairs it. No easy task, but Neil's always up to the challenge. That's the first place I've ever heard of this thing. And when you look inside of it, the Sega Mega Drive side is sort of like almost like a big card or something on
one. It's one. It's a card. Full card.
On the PC side, it's basically pretty much just like your proper PC. I know for a fact that people are jacking these things up with better processors, and I know it can take more memory. So I mean, I know they can be toyed with to get a better Windows experience in terms of the ability to run Windows 95 and whatnot. And so, but the PC you can only go so far. You're not putting a Pentium or a Pentium 2 or anything in this thing. I mean, it's an older PC. It did have.
Now, to be fair, you could upgrade the Mega Drive side as well.
Really?
It has an expansion port to add the CD-ROM for it.
No kidding. That's kind of neat. I did not know. So look, good for you, Brent. You're jumping on the grenade there.
Yeah, what it is under the cartridge slot, there is a little panel that you can take off, and it's just an exposed edge, and you plug a cable in there and plug in your CD-ROM, and you have access to all that stuff as well.
The funny thing about this machine is let's say you've got your PC on, you've got Windows 3.11 booted up or Windows 95, whatever you're using, and then there's a slider on the front of this thing. It's like a big sliding door, and when you slide the PC side shut, then there's a cartridge slot in there, and you plug in your Genesis cartridge, your Mega Drive cartridge. And then once it's plugged in, it instantly comes on. It's got an instant on if you put a cartridge on it. And when you pull the cartridge out, it just instantly turns off the Genesis side. And if you slide back to the PC, it's right back where you left off. It's not like you can do stuff in the background while you play Mega Drive games, but it's pretty much it.
Well, that's not totally true, Aaron. I mean, you can, let's say you are defragging your hard drive. That's something you did back in the day. And you're like, man, this sucks. I don't want to just sit here and watch this. If you slide the panel over, the PC is still working in the background. It's still doing its thing. You can't
flip back and forth from Genesis to PC without actually going. You can't have both running.
The card out.
Yeah, right. Exactly. You can't It's not like you can shrink a window or anything on that.
No. Now, something to also note, what most people did or from my understanding, the little door that slides back and
Yeah.
forth, all it does to switch between one and the other is when as you slide the door over, it hits a switch,
Right.
and that's what kicks on the video for the other one. Most people will just take that door, that little sliding door, just pop it off, and that way they can just finger flip the switch back and forth. Because if you don't, the controller port is also in the front, and you can't slide the door over to go to the PC unless you unplug the
Oh, I
controller,
see.
which that's horrible
Well, no,
design. Horrible
it's
design.
designed the way they wanted it. They didn't want you to slide it back and forth with a joystick in there. You shouldn't.
No, that's
But you
horrible
shouldn't.
design.
I mean, I guess what I'm saying is you shouldn't need to do that because you can't use the Genesis side with joystick plugged in. So you can
but
see why.
no,
I can see why they
but
did it.
that's what I'm saying. You shouldn't you shouldn't have to unplug the joystick every time you want to go back to the PC side. That's stupid.
Right. It's a
You should be able to leave that plugged in, and you can, and all you have to do is pop off the front door.
Right. These weren't that cheap. All right.
No.
I think when they came out, I think you were looking at somewhere in the ballpark of, I want to say, £600 or something like that.
No. What up?
Is that when they dropped the price? I know they dropped the price after like a month. That's why.
Yeah. These released for £1,000.
Yeah. But I mean, it didn't stay at that price very long at all before it dropped, because that six.
Well, yeah, that's because everyone was like, "Are you kidding me?" An old crappy computer for the time, and and a Megadrive for £1,000. Are you? That's insane.
Do you think?
Insane.
Do you think? Let me ask you a question. You're right. That is insane. Do you think if they'd strapped, let's say, a 486/25 in this thing, something more up to the challenge on the PC side, and sold it for the same price, do you think it would have sold better?
Well, here's the thing. They were going to do that. They were going to release a Amstrad MEGA Plus that was a 486 computer. And depending on who you listen to, because there are certainly magazine articles talking about it, or advertisements, but to everyone's knowledge, these never actually got produced. Do I think it would have made a difference if they would have just released the 46 to begin with? No, not at that price. I think it would have been more competitive. I think it would have been something that people would have at least considered before they laughed and walked away. But at that price, even for a 46 at that time, with the way computer technology was constantly evolving. I mean, this is the early 90s. New processors and new chips were coming out every other week. So to lock yourself into such an expensive purchase that's not super upgradable. I mean, you can put more RAM in it, you can upgrade the processor, but you can't take the motherboard out and put another motherboard in. So it does limit your upgrading. I think this was just a bad idea from beginning to end.
I will say the joke I read online was, at the time you could have bought a better PC and the Sega Mega Drive separately and saved hundreds of pounds. So
yeah,
there you go. So yeah, they gave it a shot. It's an interesting idea, but it makes for an interesting research and interesting show. So,
well, I mean, here's the other thing that needs to be noted is it did come with a monitor that would change its refresh rate and whatnot when you switch between PC and Genesis. So that was pretty good. I mean, when you played the Genesis part of it on this 14-inch monitor, it's as good as it's probably ever going to look, because that's not something you can always do. Also, the only shared component between the computer side and the Genesis side, do you know what it is, Aaron?
Is it the sound chip?
It is the Yamaha sound chip. So, I mean, it wasn't like, I think if this was really integrated, I'm talking about almost to the point of emulation, something that is way more common today to do with PCs, that still took the carts, then maybe you would have had something. Or if it was all on one card and you could take that card from one motherboard to another, you'd have a little bit more interest. I mean, they're highly sought after today because they were such an oddity. But even with coming with a 14-inch monitor, 2 controllers, because it also came with an analog controller, more for your PC gaming. Came with a keyboard, of course, and a mouse. Came with Windows 3.0 and came with DOS. So they tried. I mean, they didn't. I don't think they went in there and well, I mean, it was a gimmick, obviously, but they tried to make the gimmick usable. I just don't think that people wanted the gimmick. And at the end of the day, when you're asking people to pony up that kind of money, even after the price drop, which was significant, I mean, it dropped from 1,000 to 9 to 8 to 6 to 5
quickly.
Yeah. This is all in just the span of a couple years. But it was still, Also, here's the other thing, and then we can move on. If you were a single person and you were the only one using your computer or your console, this is not so bad. But if little Jimmy wants to play his games and Papa Smurf is over here doing spreadsheets, you can't both be doing it, right? So it locks up one of your modes of entertainment if you're using this in a family setting. Yeah. It's just bad.
It's like fighting over your TV back in the day when you want to play some Odyssey 2. Yeah, you've got a point there. Still, a unique computer analyst history, and as one of our chat denizens points out, highly in demand these days due to its uniqueness. Yeah. So, speaking of our fine chatters, last week when we were debating how to play the picking games on this thing, a fellow named Cobrian suggested that we play games that were available for both the PC and the Megadrive side of this, and I took that to heart. And I'll lead the dance this week, Brent, because the game I picked was actually available. This is a game that you could have got the cartridge and the disc for, and played them on both sides simultaneously if you wanted, and it was a European exclusive on the Mega Drive. And that game is the ever-popular Sink or Swim. Sink or Swim. Now, I'd never heard of this one, Brent, I'll be honest with you. But I picked on the basis of its availability, and it's also meeting the criteria that I had set up. This game is known by different titles on different systems and in different parts of the world. The alternate titles basically, if you're playing this on a Sega Mega Drive in Europe, and I didn't go with this title in the show but this is what it is. It's called the s.o.s. Lucifer Man Overboard. So that if you want to play a game with Lucifer in the title, there you go. This got released on the NES under the title s.o.s. Sink or Swim. And on DOS, this got released as Sink or Swim. So I played the DOS version of this, but I had a look at the Genesis version. I had a quick look at the Super Nintendo version as well. This offering came out in '93, of course, developed by Zeppelin Games. Zeppelin Games, I know them for their interesting Jockey Wilson's darts. If you are an Amigos fan, we love Jockey Wilson. What a crazy character that it didn't end up great, but Jockey was a colorful man. And his dart game, which is not great, but it got us to look into Jockey Wilson. They also did an F1 game, and they also did they did 2 games in the Arnie series, which is like a Arnold Schwarzenegger ripoff. They developed and published this bad boy. I should mention that along with the things I mentioned, this also had a Game Gear release and an Amiga release. So this one got kicked around a lot for a game that really don't get talked about too often. It's programmed for DOS by Andrew Drake and Ian Copeland, and had some good music in it, and sound effects from Alex Aldroyd and Neil Crossy. These guys didn't turn up too often when I looked at who they were, so I don't know how. I guess they did a lot of work for Zeppelin. Zeppelin's not a company I think is synonymous with what I would call good games. I looked over the library and I wasn't super impressed. I'll be honest with you, but I did look at it. So this game on the box is billed as a cross between Lemmings, Rainbow Island, and the Poseidon Adventure. That's the tagline. That's your tagline right there.
All righty.
Think about those three things: Lemmings, Rainbow Islands, and the Poseidon Adventure. That's what you've got here. So, what the heck is this crazy game? Well, s.o.s. is a puzzle game. It's called I'm sure Bo
puzzle platform.
Bo can come up with this an action puzzle platformer. You play a fellow named Kevin Codner. Now, this is supposed to be a play on Kevin Costner, okay, action star,
obviously.
And in the 60 levels provided in the DOS version of this, you are to go through this sinking ship and rescue passengers. The passengers are referred to as dim passengers. This was supposed to be a hilarious pun on Kim Basinger. Don't ask me why, but that's documented in the thing. So, there you go. The game starts off with a pretty interesting opening of the... you're still in the u.s.s. Lucifer in this game. It's just not in the title. And the u.s.s. Lucifer is going through the ocean, and the captain is in a bathtub taking a bath, and you get an all uncomfortable look at the captain in the bathtub. It looks like he's just going to jump right out of the bathtub in all of his glory. But anyway, he pops the cork. He takes the plunge, the stopper out of his bathtub, and when he does that, the boat starts filling up with water. So there's no iceberg. There's none of that crap. He just literally pulls the plug. This is clearly the plumbing in this was not so good. And so it's up to you, Kevin Codner, to go through and rescue everyone on the ship, because presumably the crew has left. So how do you do that? Well, the game is actually, the controls are pretty intuitive. I ended up playing this with the keyboard instead of the joystick. But the controls on this, you've got your arrow keys or your joystick up, down, left, right. Then you can do a few other things. You can drop a bomb. You can release a raft when they're available. And you can fix pipes when that's available. Most of the time, you're just going up, down, left, right, and using your space bar as your action button. So Kevin Codner in this game, the levels are set up just like a Lemmings. It's just each level is its own self-contained level. Like I said, there are 60 levels. That when you start the first level, you'll see like a cross section of the u.s.s. Lucifer that's split into little squares, and every square you finish, it turns that square red, and that means you've completed that. So you're trying to get through the whole ship. That's sort of the gimmick. You start at the one side, go to the other. The levels are interesting. The passengers look like little mean Genes. Basically, they look like little. They're little bald guys with mustaches. They all look the same, which I thought was, in a Lemmings way. They just look like they're every passenger on this boat looks identical, which I thought was odd. You go around with Kevin, and what you're trying to do is lead these passengers to the exit. Okay, it's that simple. Along the way, there are obstacles that will prevent these idiots from going to the exit, and I do mean idiots. These guys are every bit as stupid as the Lemmings, but they don't have any actual skill like the Lemmings. Like the Lemmings, you can make them do something intelligent. These guys can do nothing. They're idiots. And so, for example, in the first level, the only thing you need to do is blow up one bulkhead, and then the idiots will run out the exit. That's the level. That's all there is to it.
And flip the switch because there's a conveyor belt that they can't get across.
And basically this game is the embodiment of rinse and repeat. I was surprised. There's two things that surprised me, Brent. I'm not. When I picked this, I didn't know it was a puzzle game. Okay, because I don't usually pick puzzle games. But the two things that surprised me about this game were, one, I could actually get somewhere in it, and two, there wasn't a lot. It wasn't that complicated. Don't get me wrong. I didn't beat it, but I did get fairly far into it. Surprisingly far, if you want the truth. And a lot of the game is I would say sort of common sense. If you understand that the passengers are idiots, it makes the game a lot easier because they can't do anything unless you help them along the way. And that's in terms of Lemmings, this really isn't I mean, yeah, there's some. It's sort of like Lemmings, but it's not exactly like Lemmings because the levels are made up in a different way, and there's a limited amount of things you have to cope with. I'd say it's like the dumb guy's version of Lemmings, and it's it being a dumb guy that was perfect for me. Occasionally, you'll have to jump over chasms, jump on ropes. Like I said, instead of just hitting switches to manipulate a conveyor belt on or off, sometimes you have to literally switch the thing on or off to avoid the dumb passengers to get smushed by these smushing machines that will come down and squash them. Different levels require a different amount of prisoners to live, just like Lemmings. So sometimes you only have to get one guy out. Sometimes you have to get them all out. Sometimes it's a number in the middle. There are also levels that you need to manipulate a crane that will pick up crates. And again, this isn't something you haven't seen in any other games. You take this crane and you use your joystick to sort of manipulate where the crane goes. It'll pick up a crate, then you can drop it. And often this is used to say get guys over fire or make little platforms so they can get the stuff. I will say some of the crane stuff that's probably the headiest parts of the game because aside from just the puzzle elements, there's a lot of timing stuff where you have to time where you do stuff. I mean, so there's a reflex that's involved in playing this game that isn't in every puzzle game. This isn't the kind of thing you just sit relaxingly deep in your armchair and just hope you're going to get through it. You're going to have to actually, and so is this, like I said, there's some action elements to it that require you to really get in there and manipulate stuff in real time. There are plenty of levels where you have to throw oxygen tanks down to the guys as they because they'll drown, and then they use these things to fly around. There's sometimes where you have to drop a raft down in there to save them. The truth of the matter is, I watched the guy go through this whole game, and I don't. Did you get to play this for any length of time?
Yeah, I played it for a while.
Do you recall how far in you got?
It was in the teens.
I got up into the 20s. And
yeah, I just was like, okay, I understand what's going on because it does get repetitive.
And I got into the 20s, and I thought to myself, this, and some I'm not gonna sit here and say no level forced me to really think, but I mean, it was actually for me, this was pretty much right in my wheelhouse. I felt pretty good about this one. There's some quirks to this game. When you die, there's just sinister laughter. I never understood what that was all about. And when the passengers die and you lose a level, there's this noise that the game makes. It's louder than anything else in the game. And it's jarring as hell. It's like, what the heck was that?
It's actually awful.
It is. It doesn't fit the game at all. It really doesn't fit the game in any way. You have to use your bombs in a cagey way sometimes. To aside from just blowing up bulkheads, sometimes you'll have to blow up boxes. There's also areas where you have to manipulate the floor, like the platforms on the floor on or off. There's even areas where you have to kind of swim down. I enjoyed the game. I really say the graphics are cute. I think they're well done. It looks good. The sound is the music. It has level music that's good. I mean, it's not like it's not like Turrican 2, but it's not bad. I mean, the music, it fits the game. I kind of wish the passengers would look different, but I guess that was just the way they chose to do it. I like the fact that your guy can shimmy across pipes when he has to. Your guy's actually pretty handy. The elements where you're fixing pipes, there's a lot of areas in the game where there's steam coming out of these overhead pipes, and your guy has to go up and patch the steam. I thought that was kind of a neat element. That's sort of the last thing they introduce as an element, and it's not that big a deal, is it? But I mean, it's something, but it's okay, but it's not like it's earth-shaking. The console versions of this got more levels. They got 100. The DOS version does not. Again, these levels are just like Lemmings. They've got a password you get after every level. So later on, you can skip levels if you want, if you've got the password. I read that the Genesis version of this has 100 levels, but only gives you a password every 5 levels. And the funny thing is, there are passwords that exist for the other levels. They just don't give them to you.
Yeah.
thought that was kind of goofy. Doing a little research on this, it's funny. I was looking on Moby, and they've got all their entries have a little trivia section, and the trivia section I thought was funny. They said the game took 9 or 10 months of hard development, and according to one of the guys who were the original developers on this, Andrew Drake, the original developers never received any royalties for the game.
Oh.
He said despite the fact he was offered a chance to port the game over to the PC, he refused because he couldn't afford to buy a PC. That's I've never heard such a thing. That's cheap. These people pay these suckers. How can they port it if they can't afford to buy a PC? So, Britt, what were your thoughts on this quirky, puzzly platformer?
Well, there's no denying that even in the first level, you're like, oh, this is kind of like Lemmings. And, I mean, it is, but it's not. You are guiding. It's like Lemmings. If instead of being able to give the Lemmings power, there was one main Lemming that had all the power. Yeah. And that's sort of what you are.
And by the way, there were 4 powers. As opposed to 20, yeah.
Yeah, and it's cute. The graphics are cute. Outside of the dying sound effect, the sound's fine. This is a wonderful example of a middle of the road game. It does everything just well enough to not be annoying, but it never does anything so mind-blowing that you can't stop talking about it.
Yeah.
Do I think you should play this game? Absolutely. It's especially if you like platform puzzlers. It's a good baby's first platform puzzler. Nothing on this is gonna blow your mind, and I think it leans heavier on reaction and platforming than it relies on the puzzle aspect, and that's not bad. But it doesn't stress out either.
Although there's really no platforming elements, but like you're not gonna, unless you say fall in fire. The platforming this is you're not gonna die from falling and stuff like that. So I mean it's there, but you have to do it. But it's not like say you're like a Mario or something, you know.
No. But there are times when you have to swing on ropes and you have to time your jump to get on and off the rope and that kind of thing.
Swinging on that rope, the first time you did it, what a weird feeling, right? Because it feels like you're just not going to catch it. It's a very odd graphic as he gets hold of the rope. I agree. I think that your assessment's pretty much straight on. On behalf of Baby, as Baby's first puzzler, this was my speed in terms of puzzles. I thought it was fun. I enjoyed it a lot more than I thought I would. I'll be honest, like I said, when I found out what it was, I'm like, oh my God, what have I done? But it was interesting. And I will say the amusing graphics and the sound and the water effects are pretty good. I'd say for a DOS game of this year, it's quite an attractive game, to be honest with you. It looks like an Amiga game in a lot of ways.
And all the scrolling is good. And it uses an up to jump mechanic, but it's not actually up. You have to press up and left or up and right to jump.
Yeah, you can't jump straight up.
Which it's kind of weird.
That's sort of like Gods is like that, as I recall. You don't jump straight up, you can jump left and right, yeah.
And it doesn't take but maybe, 5 or 10 minutes to get used to, and then it pretty much becomes second nature. But that's the worst control aspect of the game. I thought it controlled. Everything else controls fine. But it is what it is. It's a simple platform puzzler that will you'll want to try to save all the passengers because they're kind of like almost like a funny uncle type appearance that you feel compelled to not let them die. Plus the sound effect is makes you really feel compelled not to let them die. And they panic and they wave their arms around. So is this game good? It's okay. It's okay. And it's okay for it to be okay. I think it's worth, like I said, if platform puzzlers are your thing, This isn't going to blow your mind, but if you want to get into platform puzzlers, this is a great place to start.
I agree with you. You know, it's funny. I checked this out on the Super Nintendo. It looks real good. It's got it. Not only is it better looking than the PC counterpart, it's also got multi-planar scrolling. Like in the background, you can it's like cracks in the boat and stuff reveal different play areas. You know, you can't go to them. They look cool. So the Super Nintendo version, they spiced it up considerably. But I mean, effectively, it's the same game except you get a lot more levels. So really, that's the one to go with. You know, when I was pricing this thing, Brent, I came across something kind of strange. A lot of these, the ones because I was trying to get the prices on the various consoles and the computer, and it was difficult because a lot of the console releases for this have the wrong description, because they've gotten this game confused with another game called s.o.s. s.o.s is another game where, and even the descriptions are kind of confusing because in that game you're a guy that's rescuing people from a sinking ship. All right, but the difference is it's an action platformer, and what gets me is it says like you get to pick which character you want. You've got to rescue your sister and stuff. And I looked this other game up, and this other game looks pretty good too. By the way, I've never heard of it. It's a Super Nintendo game where you run around in a sinking ship. And the aspect of it's all askew, you know. So if you're trying to price this, you're trying to buy this, be careful because you may want to make sure you're getting Sink or Swim or s.o.s Sink or Swim and not the other s.o.s. Because
don't buy this.
I mean, the thing is, people will just go to Wiki and they just take the description and stick it
down
there, you know. So I hate that. I did find this. If you want the PC version of this, it's pretty cheap. You can get the CD and the case for $5, and you can get the boxed version is $15. Not too bad. I will say I did find a couple reviews on this, and they weren't they weren't the best. Wiz gave this thing 4 stars, and PC Player out of Germany gave it 58 out of 100. So your mileage may vary.
No, I mean this is better than
well,
that.
Again, we just had this thing happen on ARG or on the Amigos. Some of these places, at 58 out of 100 means slightly above average. It's real hard to figure out some of these freaking game review things. I don't,
and that is why you don't have a system that has 100 numbers in it.
There you go. We didn't get any action on Discord this week. I kind of thought we might. To be honest with you, but no one tried to play this one. So there you go. Sink or Swim, an interesting title. I kind of got lucky, I feel like, on this, Brent, because it could have been much worse. But I did enjoy this one. Now, what did you bring to the table this week? And I hope you get into how you picked your game and the whole mystery behind it.
Well, I wanted to pick something where, being that it was part of the Amstrad MEGA PC, meant something, right? Because at the end of the day, this is just a DOS box with a Megadrive shoved into it. So I thought, okay, what can I do to try to at least tie it back to the Amstrad? And I decided to see what came bundled with this system. And in the UK, nothing came bundled with this system ever. But the Australian release, they did bundle in some games. They bundled in Jimmy White's Whirlwind Snooker, Prince of Persia, F-15 Strike Eagle 2, the Steel, I'm sorry, it was Elite Plus, and they packed in Steel Empire, and then the game that I picked, which was Lynx, the Challenge of Golf.
The Challenge of Golf. Why that one, Brett? Just for my edification.
Because it was packed in.
Right, but I mean, of the 6, what drew you to Lynx?
Well, I mean, Jimmy White's Snooker has been looked into. F-15 Strike Eagle 2 has been looked into.
Is that what we did on? We did that when we on the marathon a couple years ago, didn't we? Yeah. We really cheesed out on that one, didn't we?
Prince of Persia looked into.
You're right.
So
you're right.
I was right. I was at Elite. That's been looked into. So it was really between Steel Empire and golf. So I thought, let's
To
go
be fair, we
golf.
looked at the links too on the Amiga, but I'm not gonna hold it against you. I like the idea that, and you should mention that the mystery of trying to find the box. We couldn't figure out what the elite one was, and so we had a
Yeah.
bunch of people going after it, trying to figure out what the box was. So that was kind of fun on Discord.
Yeah, my hats off to the folks in Discord that was able to figure it out, because if you look up like pack-ins for the Amstrad Mega, and no, nothing. I found an advertisement that had them pictured, took a picture of the picture, posted it in Discord. I was like, okay, guys, I think I've got like 4 of these I know for sure. One of them I'm not sure about. One of them I have no idea. And chat was able to figure out, or Discord was able to figure out Elite Plus, because the Elite Plus box art is just, it's just the dirt worst.
I got to give you credit for being so clever and for taking the initiative to go find this bundle. And I agree. I agree with Duke and chat. That's a darn good pack. Those are some games you're getting there.
It is, until you realize that this was released in like 1994.
Yeah, that is true.
So these games are,
they're old.
they're not at
but
their,
still, if you're going to get old
peak.
games, those are some good old games right there.
Exactly. So let's dig into Link's The Challenge of Golf. And obviously, just by the title, this is a golf game. But this is the golf game of the 90s. And the reason why I say that is a lot of golf games up to this point were very arcade style. It wasn't about picking your clubs or hitting the ball. It was all about just timing the meters. You hit it when you hit it. You go, you get in the rough. Who cares? The rough's pretty much exactly like fairway. You just go on with life. Lynx took it to exciting new levels. So much so that the pack-in course, the course that comes with the game, Torrey Pines South, they went and took pictures, aerial photos, and played the course, dozens of times, taking pictures of all the foliage and the animals that were in this area, and digitized it all into this one package, which, at this time, unheard of that they would go through this much effort. And the end result is the game looks amazing for a 1990s game. When it is fully drawn in, and you look at the course, you could say, yeah, if you had been to this course, oh yeah, I remember this. There's that tree is right where they say it is. It's exactly where it's supposed to be. So they really went out of their way to make this a golf simulation rather than an arcade golf game. And to that point, there are pluses and minuses. If you don't know anything about golf, you're in trouble, because your club selection is very much dependent on how well you do in the game. Also, things like punching your shot or how much lift you're going to get off a certain club all come into play. They really tried to go for realism. Thumbs up for that. It was something that certainly wasn't being done at the time. And this game was your father's video game. This is what he played. Because there are many, many, many stories out there where you'd show up to work after a weekend of playing some links golf, and you would talk about how well you did, just like if you were on an actual golf course. I was plus 30 this week. My score is really coming down. And even in Discord, we had a conversation about someone who was doing so much better than his buddy, and it turns out that his father was playing it on a 286, and his buddy was playing on a 386, and that made the swing meter go faster. So the other guy was playing at a disadvantage. But those type of conversations were pretty common when this was really hot and heavy. How does the game hold up to this, through the annals of time? Very poorly. The unfortunate side of Lynx, to get those beautiful graphics, to get those amazing course details, the game draws everything before each shot. And that wouldn't be so bad if that's all it was. But if you have to turn your character left or right to better line up a shot, first of all, you can't do it in real time. You have to put on a counter, like I need to turn 20 segments to the left. How long is a segment? Who knows? What do these numbers really mean? You have no idea. You just kind of punching it in. And every time that you turn your golfer left or right to line up a shot, it redraws the graphics. So if you move 20 segments to the left, figure out that that was too far. You have to set through the whole redraw, and then it's like, man, I need to go like 4 segments back to the right, and it redraws the whole screen. And then you're like, no, 2 more to the left, and it redraws the whole screen, and it makes the game incredibly tedious, even on a faster processor. I was trying to play it with a 386 because that's what would have came with the Amstrad MEGA PC, which is better because, like I said, some people were playing this on a 286. Even with that little bump in speed, it was painful. Every shot was painful. I made it through a whole 18 holes, and
well done.
my score for the first 4 holes, I was trying to get used to everything. So I was, somewhere between +4 and +5 because it's hard. And then I kind of got in my groove and I was hitting pars or bogeys for about the next 4 or 5 holes. And then my back 9 was just +10, +14. And it's not, I mean, some of it's because the holes got harder, but more than anything else, I got so sick of trying to line up shots. I just hit the ball, hit the ball, hit the ball. And when you're not taking the time to line up and have those redraws happen, you just absolutely get sick of watching it all, and you just go and you don't care anymore. This would be something back in the day, revolutionary, mind-blowing. It won tons of awards when it came out for its graphics. The reviews for this game are 80s and 90s almost across the board. It was big time, but this is one of those games, and it happens every once in a while, where going back to it is just so painful. I can't recommend it. I can't recommend playing this even if it's loaded up on someone's system waiting for you to play. I can't recommend it because there is so many better golf games out now, and what made this thing special back in the day is now a huge hindrance on how it plays. Aaron, what's your opinion on it?
Me and the boat played this on Amigos a while back, and of course, I grew up playing Access Software's golf games with leaderboard, world-class leaderboard, which this is very similar. It's funny, Lynx, the Challenge of Golf, is sort of that middle child between the world-class leaderboard golf, and then their Access Software's future offerings like Lynx 36 CD, Lynx Pro, where they really smoothed out all this waiting around for it to draw. I mean, that's not a factor in the. Of course, you're dealing with machines that are more powerful. This is the classic example of a game that is it's going to play its game, and whatever system you're on, you just have to wait for it to chug because it's and it's a beautiful game. The Lynx games were perfect for box art because you look at them, you're like, holy God, look at them! You can see the ocean, the trees, it's gorgeous. Torrey Pines. By the way, I'm going to agree with you. The back 9 of Torrey Pines. God knows I've played it enough. It came from the u.s.s. Lucifer. It was straight, but the designs because it is a vicious back 9. But yeah. This is, I'd say I'm more tolerant of the drawing than you are, just because I got so used to it over the years. This was not, in fact, this is faster than World Class Leaderboard, and Leaderboard drew in a lot faster, but it's still slow, and it's hard to build up a good rhythm in this game. And something else about these games is that they're difficult. This is not Neo Turf Masters. It's a hard game. It's a realistic hard.
Oh, it's simulation.
Right, and
yeah.
Now, I will say, you've got there are tons of stuff in this that I like. I love this is the traditional swing meter that Access sort of spearheaded, and I'm used to it. I know how it works, and I can use it. So there's that. And I'm used to like you said, punch shots and stuff. No game did punch shots better than the Access games, because I always used to use those. That was my just off the green shot, man. Get the old punch going with your with one of your wedges. But I think this game's okay, to be honest with you. It doesn't have. It's just got. I believe this one only had Torrey Pines, and that's it, right? As this golf course, and you could buy extras. Is that the way it worked?
You could buy extra courses, but yeah, this only came with one course, which is another downfall. But I mean, it has also it has sound effects from the golf course. Different bird chirps are accurate to where you play.
Those are the patented Access software noises. And when you play golf. Yeah. You've got to have access. There's a frog, there's a bug, there's a cricket somewhere. Yeah. There's a bird. And it's amazes me. And all their games have it too. This plays better, and this is my opinion. This plays better on the Amiga. The Lynx, of course, it came out on the Amiga several years later than this. I think it came out in '92, and that.
Yeah, the DOS release for this was 1990. Yeah. The Amiga release was 1992, and then the Sega CD release was 1994.
Have you tried that game? I wonder how that plays on the Sega CD. I may have to give that a whirl just to see how that thing renders. I'd wager it's very similar to the Amiga version. Truth be told, I was okay with the shot selection, clubs, the whole nine. I didn't have any trouble with that. It's funny. I went ahead just to see, because I wasn't really sure at first which Lynx we were playing. And I had, thanks to ExoDOS, I had a Lynx 386 CD. And so I tried that one.
It's a much better game.
The difference between the two, and I think it came out in 95. The difference between the two is stark. It's unbelievably different. No draw-in, tons more courses. The funny thing about it is, by the way, it's got overhead. If you have the CDs for the courses, they have digitized flyovers, the holes, so you can see where things at.
Yeah.
One thing that they both share in common, though, is that it's sometimes difficult to figure out where you're at and where you're supposed to go, and it's much worse in Sega 386 than it is in this. And it's funny because that was never a huge problem in World Class Leaderboard, but as they get more court stuff, or more golf course stuff, there's a lot more crap in the way, scenery and whatnot. But that was one problem I always had. I like the putting grid. I've always liked that. So I've never had, putting I thought was okay. I mean, this is realistic. The putting in this is a lot tougher than in a sort of an arcadey game, because you'll have a something that looks like maybe a 2 or 3 foot putt, but the grade will be unbelievable, and it'll scoot right down the hill, and you could kill yourself trying to putt these balls in. So
yeah, and the grid in this, the grids upgraded as time went on, and the upgraded grids where it more accurately shows slopes is tremendously better. I hated the grid in this. It shows so little information.
Yeah, well, I mean, again, it's just, I guess I'm just used to it. You know what I mean? But overall, as far as golf games go, I mean, I think Lynx is okay. Like I said, I think it plays better on the Amiga, and I think you're better served with the Lynx 386. It is funny that this shipped with a 386, but of course, I guess it came out a couple years earlier, too early for the Lynx 386 game.
Oh no! This bundle, you'll see it come up again and again for different PCs. It's a pretty standard bundle. They usually take some games out and put others in, but the Amstrad having 6 titles, that's actually pretty rare for this bundle. Most bundles are 4 games, but those 6 games are in a lot of bundles just different parts of them. So the reason why they didn't have the newer version in is that wasn't part of the bundle that they were pushing for different PCs and whatnot. So that's why you didn't get the newer game. It wasn't a matter of release date, because Lynx 386 came out in 92.
No, it came out. Oh yeah, and this, the Lynx, the one I played, came out in 95. The Lynx CD.
Okay, well, Okay, yeah, but Lynx 386, which have still have been newer
Yeah,
than this one, was already on the market when this
I
got
see. So this
released.
fits in with the bundle of a bunch of old crap. Hey,
It does. I know. Are the games good?
but they're
Heck
old.
yeah, that bundle would have been awesome. In 1990,
Yeah,
91, it would have been mind blowing. In 90, like 5 or whatever, when this was actually released, not so much, but it's still, all those are games.
uh,
the
one
there's no huge
one would
stinker.
wonder if they ever put together a mixed bundle. You know what I'm saying, with some Genesis games in there.
No, I looked like
Yeah,
crazy. The only other bundles that came out for the Amstrad Mega Pro was bundles like typing tutors or spreadsheet software. It did come all the systems that I looked at had Windows 3.0, DOS 6.22, some wacky Amstrad Mega Pro only graphical interface that no one would ever use if they had access to Windows. And then, like I said, there were typing tutors, there were spreadsheet programs, that sort of thing. Nothing I saw ever came with a
I
Genesis
think
card.
I think that's where they dropped the ball. I mean, one of the many places. But think about it. You had the opportunity to do bundles that no one else could do. And there were plenty of Genesis cartridges or Megadrive cartridges available that you could have bundled with this old software. But at least then people would say, you could say, look, you're getting both, and you could pick, a select titles from both systems, and that would be a real unique selling point,
You're right. It would have been, but nothing was going to save this ball. This ball was flat on arrival. And the only way they could have ever made any ground is if they had some kind of Genesis exclusive that took advantage of
and they
either
couldn't.
the
Yeah.
monitor or something like that to boost higher graphics or better play. This was just it was a bad idea from beginning to end when you really take a look at it. Now, of course, we have a little bit of hindsight. Maybe when they thought of this idea, there was something going on in the world that made this make more sense. But no, unfortunately, the Amstrad Mega is not very mega at all.
It's funny because this falls into that bizarre category of PC console combos. There aren't that many. I recall the 3DO blaster, which it was basically effectively turn your PC into a 3DO, was available briefly. Yeah. I played Creative was behind that, and I believe there was a Sega Saturn card that was sold for in Japan, something that you could briefly get that. But it is a rarity. I think if me and you had been around back in the day, we could have made this thing work. I think we put some good ideas together here, man. You're right. I hadn't thought about it, but if you could also push the quality of the visuals on the Master System with that monitor, because you did get the best possible visuals out of that thing. I think that's another good way to go. Did you get any reviews or anything on this thing?
Like I said, the magazine reviews for this were all in the 80s and 90s, outside of a few outliers, and most of those were people doing retro reviews. And of course, a retro review of this doesn't hold up well, but at the time, it was off the chart.
Yeah, I'm looking at some reviews here, and you're right. Everything's it's high, and it won awards too. You get this one, it won the Computer Gaming World Action Game of the Year.
Yeah,
How
that
did
makes
that
no sense.
The Action Game of the Year? There's what an odd one.
Well, I mean, sometimes the check clears and they put the wrong game on the memo line. So,
well, there you go. Well, speaking of the check clearing, the check cleared, Brent, and I've added the appropriate pieces to the wheel, my friend. Let's get this sucker going.
What did you add?
Yeah, I didn't even tell you, did I?
You did not. We had other things going on at the beginning of the show.
This week I have added High Score Challenge, Brent. So you can explain what that is.
I feel like we just did one of those.
Yeah, no kidding. And then we've also for the classic, the Retro Rewind I've got Atari ST,
There
your
you
favorite,
go.
back on the thing here. You ready to?
Wow, that is.
Yeah, it's got to be back. Oh wait a minute, no, think about it. We haven't had this piece on for a long time, so it's back. Hey, it's a random pick. I can't do anything about it. Here we go.
We need a wheel to pick the random piece.
All right, here we go.
Why? Would you stall? That's an old piece. That's a super old piece.
Okay, you in the chat. This is your time to shine, Brent. The wheel has landed on chat subject challenge.
Oh,
Explain
okay.
what that means.
People in chat, we're not looking for necessarily a system. We're not necessarily looking for a game. We're looking for like food games or games about construction, or games from a developer.
Let's see. You guys, we're gonna give the chat a few minutes while they're coming up with something. We're gonna take the consensus so you guys can lobby each other. We're gonna give you a few minutes.
Oh God, no! We're not doing
Duncan
golf
Styles
games.
gets the Action Game of the Year award for dumb actions with that little comment. So,
Cool. All right, I like that.
Britt, as the
I will pull up a random number generator here while chat goes nuts.
While you do that, I want to show off a couple things here. Boat has just gotten our new magnets out, and these things are very sharp. Look at that, Brent.
Oh, look at
Isn't that
those!
nice?
Those are brilliant.
So that's from the Game Selection Committee, and then here is the 2020 Amigos supporters, and the Christmas cards. I think I'm okay to show this, so I'm going to put it up because I thought it looked awesome. Here we go. I think that's. Have you seen that? That's.
I demand a reindeer suit.
I love that. This is great. So we want to thank everybody. And Bode also tells me that if you want one of the people that got a magnet, or will need a magnet to add to your collection that you missed, some of those are up for sale. So drop me a note, or drop Bode a note, and we will see if we can set you up. So magnets always fun, and these are beautiful, well done magnets. So we love those. Have we got anything cooking here in the chat, Brent? How are we looking here? They're firing stuff off, aren't they?
Plenty of suggestions. So I'm going to give chat say 20 more seconds, and then I'm going to call it off, and then I'm going to random number generate based off the number of selections, and then I'll just we'll do the selection that it lands on.
Okay, while you're waiting, I also want to show off. I just got this in the mail, Brent. Our good buddy Neil. I ordered this off his Kickstarter. This is his Retro Tea Breaks. It's Selected Interviews Volume 1. If you haven't checked out RMC's channel on YouTube, what have you been doing? He's a superstar over there. He's a smooth, bald Adonis like myself, nice facial hair, and he gets into it every week. And this is a selection of some of the more famous people he's interviewed during his tea breaks. I was on that show one time, Brent. It went as well as you'd expect. But Neil's a real good guy. So I'm looking forward to reading that. And I think that book's also available if you go over to RMC's area there. All right, Brent, what do you got there?
It looks like, due to popular consensus, we are going to be playing pub games.
Pub games.
Stuff like games that you would play in a pub or bar.
Oh, I've already got one. I need to finish this series anyway. This might be the time to do it. So let me ask you a question here, Brent. So is this
Yes.
So listen, I'm just going to come out and say it. Can I play bar games for this? Because that's probably what I'm going to do. When I think pub games, I think that game.
Okay, you got to clean up the footage some. But,
I'll work on that. Or maybe I'll play something else. There's plenty of good stuff that will work in it. So good choice. Listen, I got to give the chat credit because they could have came up with some real stupid crap, but that's real good. Excellent.
No, actually, there are a lot of suggestions here as I try to look around my glamour light.
It's not working.
Will probably become wheel pieces.
Oh, Brits. So you're horking all the chat's gimmicks here.
Well, what else would chat choice or chat subject choice be for? Yet not to hork all of their brilliant goodness for myself.
Yeah, I agree. By the way, I think we actually did Shuttlepuck Cafe. Someone mentioned that.
We have.
And so
yes.
if you go back to our if you go back through our archives for ARG Presents, I'm fairly sure that one of us, I think it was me, picked Shuttlepuck Cafe.
Yeah, it was. I believe it was Mouse
That's
Games.
bam. Look at you. The glamour light's working. You look glamorous with that beard. That's a beard so dark that light can't escape, Brent. That's one heck of a beard. Well, listen, everybody.
That would be ARG Presents Volume 60.
Oh my gosh, well done.
Mouse
Well
Games.
done. There you go. Work the back catalog, Brent. So we want to thank everyone for turning out. Thanks everybody who showed up last night for International Computer Club. Appreciate it. And for you incredible maniacs who showed up for that and this, you're double tough, my friends. I'm going to give you credit.
You're insane.
That's right.
Too much.
We will be back next week with pub games. Should be a lot of fun. Until then,
Thanks for joining us today. We really hope you enjoyed the show. Hello to our YouTube subscribers and our Twitch followers. A special thank you to Duncan Styles for our vector graphics and Bartbit for an amazing closing theme. Want to help keep ARG spinning for as little as $1 a month? You can do so at our new Patreon at patreon.com/ARGpresents. Just like these fine folks. Graham W. Vetke, Rollo, Olaf Hope, Anthony Jarvis, Terry Howard, Gary Heather, John Schaller, The Slow Norris, Frodo NL, Steve Rasmussen, Bernhard Lucas, Chris Folds, Mitsuyama, Jason Warnes, Rob Black O'Hara, Andy Craig, Dave Velociraptor, Retroalgy, Hermsky, John Dykeman, Jerry Dennington, Z9K9, and Mr. B. Don't want to explain another credit card bill? That's okay too. You can help us out by leaving us a positive review on Spotify or Apple iTunes. Have an idea for a wheel piece? Email it to us at argpresents@mail.com. We film live every Sunday, 10 a.m. EDT on Twitch. Hope to see you there.